Greetings, this is Doc Ock from Doc Ock at noon and 9, Doc Ock on your Tubular Black Facts channel, coming at you live and direct. We tried this a little bit earlier today and had to stop due to technical difficulties, but we're black and we're in business. So we're going to try it one more time to give you our presentation today, which is from the book of Crosby, the unpublished autobiography of Dr. Edward W. Crosby, the father of Black History Month. So we're going to try this one more time. First and foremost, as always, we're reminding you that it's the first week of the month, just coming up on the end of the first week of the month. And we are looking for as many people as possible to make a donation, no matter how small. Just go ahead and let it fall. You can do it online. It'll make you feel fine. You can do it on Facebook. You can do it on YouTube as well. You can even do it at our website, www.blakfacts.org. Any one of those places are you will be able to find a page that will allow you to make a donation. So if you could do that, that'd be very helpful. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and share the words of the day from the mind of Dr. Edward W. Crosby, the father of Black History Month. And one of his favorite sayings was, "What goes around comes around. What goes around comes around." And so with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and read you a poem from the book Songs from an Afrophone by Eugene B. Redmond, one of Dr. Crosby's proteges. Okay, writer extraordinaire, poet par excellence, etc., etc., etc. And this particular poem is entitled Lyrics and Lines of Blood from a Black Painting. Lyrics and Lines of Blood from a Black Painting. Here and there and here, you see, is a painting, color bothered and brooding blackly. My song, your song, our song, a mere mood blue around us, surrounding us, a love lake splashing back waves and selves, back self waves, waking us with stare dances, waving at us, warning us, washing us of all artificiality, purifying our blood, clarifying our wind lure, locked in trees, lured to river bottoms, laden with our men's and old men's, with old men and black beauty, naked, gnarled, sometimes like knuckles of the recently lynched. My face, your face, our faces. Now the map, the rap that becomes a tune, tap, tap, tap. Cartography in the palm, in the applause. Yeah, like bad man. Yeah, like boss bad man. Yeah, like a bad dad man. I mean strength, mean steel. Yeah, talking about iron teardrops. Wow, like metal thoughts. The rocks of ages, we rock the ages. We hear, they're here, here. Can you hear? Are a painting, mood colors, multicolors, flowers growing in gardens of air, flames fidgeting on clouds, above clouds, pioneers pivoting on the sun, pioneers pivoting on the sun. John Henry is the sun, can you dig it? John Henry is the man, can you get to that? Oh yeah, he's the one, he's the one, he's the one. You're the one, I'm the one, he's the one, she's the one, we the one. Can you get to that? Can you get to that? Can I get a witness? If so, then run. Now run. Run on. Now run. Run on. Now run and tell that. And that was from Songs from an Afrophone by Eugene B. Redmond, one of Dr. Crosby's most prolific proteges. That's right, everybody needs to have a prolific protege. Meanwhile, let's move on to our main feature item of the day, which is from the book of Crosby. And we're going to go ahead and continue doing our reading from the time when Dr. Crosby had just gotten to Tuskegee Institute, Alabama, and was getting adjusted to the ways of black folks. Langston Hughes wrote about the ways of white folks, but there's some black folks that got some ways too. We got ways. Everybody got ways. So let's see what kind of ways that he encountered amongst the black folks of Tuskegee Institute, Alabama. Not long after I arrived at Tuskegee, I met Dr. Paul Puryear. Paul had been on the faculty since 1960, taught political science, and was the department's chair. He also administered the George Washington Carver Museum. Upon meeting him, he invited me to his home. This was the first time Puryear and I had an opportunity to hold a casual but meaningful conversation. During my visit, our conversation drifted from items in the news, especially the intensifying civil rights struggle, the quality of Tuskegee students, its student admissions and administrative practices, and finally to salaries. And this is where we left off yesterday. A typical conversation for faculty everywhere, and certainly for novices who had just arrived on an HBCU campus. During our conversation, I learned for the first time when Tuskegee's contract year started and ended. To my surprise, Tuskegee's contract required 11 months of classroom teaching or an equivalent activity. The contract began in September and terminated in August, allowing just 1 month of vacation. When I heard this, I immediately realized I had mistakenly signed on to an incorrect contract. I began asking excited questions, for assuming Paul was correct, I was about to lose 25% of the $4,900 I had mistakenly thought I had contracted for over a 9-month period. Needless to say, when our casual conversation terminated, I rushed home to check the contract I had signed. To my chagrin, I learned Paul was right. I had obviously signed the contract without having read it carefully enough. I had stupidly taken it for granted my salary had been computed as it would have been at Kent State and Hiram, institutions I was familiar with. Yes, it was for an annual payment of $4,900. However, to earn it, I had to teach 11 months, which included 2 summer months, leaving only August open. The next day, I called Dr. Andrew P. Torrance, Tuskegee's Vice President for Academic Affairs, to set up a meeting so I could discuss this error in my contract. When I met with him and dispensed with the standard pleasantries, our discussion turned to my contract. I outlined my interview with Dr. Walker in Chicago and my saying to him I expected a salary no more than I would have been paid had I returned to Hiram College, $4,900. No more, no less. I went on to discuss what I recently learned was a mistake. I explained that at both Kent State University and Hiram College, the contracted school year was 9 months, and the salary for the period would be spread out over 12 months. Vice President Torrance listened to my description of how my mistake occurred. I repeated what I had told Paul. I was so intent on not taking Dr. Walker through a lengthy back and forth salary negotiation that I had mentioned to Dr. Walker I had decided to teach German and Spanish at Tuskegee in fulfillment of a promise I had made to my mother, who had prayed I would finally fulfill a hope she had held for me. She had on occasion in my youth experienced my getting off track. However, as of late, I had married, fathered 2 sons, and demonstrated I would finally be able to fulfill her wish and bring my learning to those who needed it most. With her hope in mind, I had decided money would not be my driver. I was therefore driven by my intention to give back. So I told Dr. Torrance I was not asking him to correct the situation by increasing my salary to include the additional 2 months. No, I wasn't asking for that. I was rather asking that its length be altered to only 9 months instead of 11, thus eliminating my having to teach in the summer. Dr. Torrance suggested a correction of the contract's length would be difficult. However, he proposed an alternative. He asked if my wife had a degree. Yeah, that's what he asked me. Did my wife have a degree? I answered yes, a BA in sociology. He then asked, would she be willing to teach reading? I quickly countered that would not work for 2 reasons. 1, she wasn't prepared to teach reading. And 2, I wasn't willing to have my wife go to work in order to correct a minor salary defect in my contract. I considered the defect minor because the deficiency amounted to only $890, 25% of $4,900. After debating my counter proposal, the vice president suggested having me sign a new contract. Okay. Hold on one second here. Hello, Louise. I will call you right back. Okay. Okay, now where was I at? Oh yeah. Where was that? I wasn't willing to have, okay. After debating my counter proposal, the vice president suggested, where is it at? Having me sign a new contract. The contract would be, oh shoot, what happened? Resume. Okay, there we go. Okay, now let me go back. I considered the defect minor because the deficiency amounted to only $890 or 25% of $4,900. After debating my counter proposal, the vice president suggested having me sign a new contract. This contract would be just for the upcoming summer term. The contract would consequently replenish the $890 I would have lost according to the initial contract. The caveat here was this: I would still have to teach summer school to earn the full $4,900 I had expected. I didn't accept Dr. Torrance's suggestion, and that would also consist of 2 contracts. I didn't accept Dr. Torrance's offer and entered what I felt was a much better suggestion, and that would also consist of 2 contract signings. However, this time, the first contract would void the previous contract and allow me to earn $4,900 during the current 9-month period and exclude summer school altogether. together, since I didn't want to teach during the summer. The second contract would upgrade my salary for the coming school year to include 4,900 plus $445 for each of the 2 summer school months. Dr. Torrance agreed and proposed that I sign both contracts simultaneously. His motive here was to grant a correction to my current contract, and so doing, commit me to remain at Tuskegee for the full ensuing school year. I voiced my appreciation of his proposal and offered another proposal in which I also suggested I sign 2 contracts. The contract that restored the salary I had expected would be signed as soon as I received it. The second contract committing me to teach for the 1963-64 school year would be signed when my family and I return from Mexico City and visit my parents currently living in Los Angeles. They had recently sold their 50-acre farm in Chardon, Ohio on Route 3, Clark Road, and now we're living first in Compton, and then later they moved to La Puente. My second proposal, Dr. Torrance decided not to refuse. During my visit with Dr. Puryear, I was introduced to an aspect of Tuskegee's history of which I had not been conscious. That 11-month faculty contract piece was Tuskegee's method for ensuring its ability to conduct its summer school. I didn't want to sacrifice my family's earned income in service to this device, which I thought was smart but unscrupulous, for it also kept salaries low. In 1968, a few years after our salary negotiations, Dr. Torrance became the president of Tennessee State University. His 5-year tenure at TSU was filled with the vicissitudes of litigation leading to the merger of Tennessee State University and HBCU and the University of Tennessee at Nashville. UTN was at the time a non-degree facility with a predominantly white enrollment of 1,700 students, specializing in evening education for working adults. This merger of an all-white institution with an HBCU was fraught with the turmoil of litigation that should have been expected when a black university that had been in existence since 1912 was merged on July 1st, 1979 with the University of Tennessee at Nashville, the former traditionally white institution that had at the time no more than 1,700 students. Okay, it looks like that needed to be edited out. The HBCU Tennessee State had considerably more students at the time of the merger. It, however, in accordance with the problems that attend integration, tragically no longer exists. My wife and I discussed our future as we set out for La Ciudad de Mexico. We didn't know how to remedy our situation, however. Should we stay at Tuskegee or make a hasty retreat back to Hiram College? I had already fabricated the story I would tell Dean Prim when I requested to return to Hiram. We continued periodically trying to figure out our next move all the way to Mexico City, to LA, and while we were driving back to Tuskegee. On the way back, our VW van began showing signs of needing repair. As we nursed it back into Tuskegee, we came to a decision. We would not sign the second contract to which Dr. Torrance had agreed. After we had decided to carry out our plan to return to Hiram, we settled down, and I made the planned call to Dean Prim and learned, to my astonishment and consequent elation, that unbeknownst to me at the time, he had altered my 2-year leave of absence to study at the University of Kansas, when I informed him of my intent to join Tuskegee Institute by extending the leave of absence for another year. Dean Prim told me, when I called, he had expected my call and was eagerly expecting my return. And I'm not sure why he expected his call. Oh, my goodness. We were having such a good time. We have gone over. So let's end right there. And we'll pick up from here tomorrow with more of Dr. Crosby and the other Crosbys in the Crosby family in Tuskegee, Alabama. Meanwhile, you know what to do. You know how to do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. So please go ahead and make a donation so you can keep us on the air with as many resources at our fingertips as possible. You can do it on Facebook. Click the link. If you see my profile picture and there's some coins next to it, click that link. That'll take you to a donation page. Or you can look for it on any of the attached to any of the vlogs that we've been posting up. We always put a donation link on every vlog. You can also find it if you're watching on YouTube. There'll be a link to the donation page on our website. Any one of those ways of donating are fine. In the meanwhile, peace out, without a doubt, with a whole lot of justice, because anything less disgusts us. And as we go into our extra, the extra.